The old antique shop smelled of dust and forgotten time. It was there, tucked away on a high shelf, that 7-year-old Lily first saw the doll. It was a porcelain creation, with glassy blue eyes and a painted-on smile that seemed just a little too wide. A tiny bell was sewn onto its red and white jester costume. The shopkeeper said its name was Jingles. Against his better judgment, Tom bought the doll for his daughter. It was a decision he would come to regret with every fiber of his being. That first night, Sarah placed Jingles on the rocking chair in the corner of Lily's room. It sat there, still and silent, its painted smile catching the moonlight. But when Tom went to check on Lily later, he noticed something odd. The doll wasn't in the chair. It was on the floor, by the foot of Lily's bed, its head tilted as if it were watching her sleep. He brushed it off as his tired mind playing tricks, picked it up, and placed it back in the chair. He made sure it was sitting securely this time. The next morning, Sarah let out a small gasp. The doll was on the floor again, in the exact same spot. Lily, still half asleep, simply said, "Jingles wanted to be closer to me." Tom and Sarah exchanged a worried look, but dismissed it as Lily's active imagination. Children often moved their toys around in their sleep. It was perfectly normal. The disturbances, however, began to escalate. One night, a faint metallic jingling sound woke Sarah from a deep sleep. It was coming from the baby monitor on her nightstand. She listened, her heart starting to pound. It sounded like the tiny bell on the doll's costume. The sound was faint, rhythmic, and then it stopped. She nudged Tom awake, but by the time he was listening, the house was silent again. He told her she was probably dreaming. A few days later, they found Lily's other toys in a heap in the middle of her room. Her teddy bears were torn, their button eyes ripped out. Her toy soldiers were broken. The center of the wreckage sat Jingles, untouched, its smile seeming to mock the destruction around it. Lily was crying, insisting she didn't do it. She pointed a trembling finger at the doll and whispered. Jingles was angry, said they were taking my attention. The aha moment, the one that shattered all their skepticism, came on a Tuesday night. Tom had set up a small nanny cam in Lily's room, determined to prove it was just Lily sleepwalking. They watched the live feed from their laptop in the living room. For hours, nothing happened. Lily slept soundly, and the doll remained motionless in its chair. Then, just after 2 a.m., it happened. The doll's head slowly, mechanically, turned to face the camera. Its painted eyes seemed to glow in the infrared light. Then its little porcelain legs swung over the side of the chair. It dropped to the floor with a soft thud that was somehow deafening in the silence. It stood there for a moment, then began to walk. Its movements were stiff, jerky, like a marionette with tangled strings. It crossed the room, the tiny bell on its costume making a faint, sickeningly cheerful jingle with each step. Tom and Sarah watched, frozen in horror. The doll stopped at the side of Lily's bed and slowly, deliberately, began to climb onto the covers. It crawled up her small body until it was sitting on her chest, its glassy eyes staring down at her sleeping face. Tom felt a primal fear he had never known. He grabbed a fireplace poker and sprinted up the stairs, Sarah close behind him. He burst into the room and flipped on the light. The doll was back in the rocking chair, perfectly still. Its smile was serene, its eyes vacant. Lily was still fast asleep, completely unharmed. If it weren't for the recording on the laptop downstairs, Tom would have thought he'd gone insane. That was it. The doll had to go. The next day, while Lily was at school, Tom took Jingles. He drove to the town dump, his hands shaking. He threw the doll into a massive industrial skip, watching it disappear under a pile of garbage. He felt a wave of relief wash over him as he drove away, the nightmare finally over. That night, for the first time in weeks, the house was quiet. There were no strange noises, no faint jingling from the baby monitor. Tom and Sarah finally felt they could breathe again. They tucked Lily into bed, her room feeling safer, lighter, without the doll's unnerving presence. Just as they were about to fall asleep, Tom's phone buzzed on the nightstand. It was a notification from the NannyCam app. He opened it, expecting to see a motion alert from a curtain blowing in the breeze. But what he saw on the screen made his blood run cold. The video feed from Lily's room was dark, but a message was scrawled across the screen in what looked like red crayon. It was written in a shaky, childish hand. The message read, You can't get rid of me." Then, a sound came from the baby monitor, sound that would haunt their dreams for the rest of their lives. It wasn't the faint jingling of a bell this time. It was a voice. Small, distorted, childlike voice, whispering a single, terrifying sentence. "Now I can play with Lily all the time." Tom and Sarah looked at each other, their faces pale with terror. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoed from down the hall. It was Lily. They scrambled out of bed and ran towards her room, but they already knew. They knew it was too late. The doll was gone, but the evil it brought into their home was not. It had just found a new vessel.